We are recording.
Hi guys.
Matt and James on YouTube.
Hi guys. What is up? As YouTubers quite often say.
I was going
Mm,
for the thingy that they do, that
mm.
alien species. That's what I was going for there. I was hoping you would follow up with the
Oh,
second one, but hey
sorry.
ho, never
Really
mind.
dense. Yeah.
Do you want to start recording and give it another
Yeah.
go, or should we just go with this flub?
No, we'll just go.
Yeah, Matt and James
As I
on
said in the
YouTube.
Matt and James on YouTube. Yes. Phil.
Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra.
Yeah. Shaka when the walls fell.
What's the species called again?
I always forget what they're called.
Yeah, and this
Right.
episode told us we're here with another Disco Decks. Bears boldly
Yeah.
go. Where we're reviewing Lower Decks as it started up again. We're discussing episode 2 this week, which is called Keishon, His Eyes Open.
There we go.
And they are called... Do you want to fill space while I find out?
Yeah, so we typically haven't done our research again, although we only just watched the second episode a little bit, like, an hour and a half ago. Because we're recording on the day it's come out. Although obviously we won't be posting this until about a week later. Tamarians. It's the famous meme.
This episode features the first Tamarian to join Starfleet, and they've obviously managed to program the Universal Translator to work with the metaphors, but not always.
I got the feeling it was more that he had learned English.
There was also a hint of that, I think. Yeah.
I thought it was more that he'd learned English, and or at least whatever, or an alien tongue at least that the Universal Translator wouldn't have problems with. Yeah, and then he had occasionally would struggle to slip out of the metaphor language, but that was very it was good fun, because obviously it was. I mean, if you haven't seen the episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation that this refers to, it is
it's
lovely
my
episode.
Favorite episode. It's it may be my favorite episode of TNG. I just love it.
I mean, in my as I've said in previous episodes, we've been rewatching all of Star Trek, and I think this was really one of the ones that actually stood out as a great TNG episode.
Yeah.
But also, it. Like Patrick Stewart, there are so many episodes where like they just let him go,
and this is one of them.
Oh, it's one of, and he's so good,
and it's
he's so good.
It's the era where he's rocking the jacket.
Yeah, and he's got it slightly open, and like he's a bit more like.
Actually, that's one thing I love about the animation style in this show is anytime like action kicks up and like Mariner unbuttons a bit of the uniform to be like, nah, I don't care about regulation.
Yeah, she's like, it's
Lieutenant Keishon is the name of the character.
Lieutenant Keishon,
voiced by Carl Tart.
Do we know Carl Tart? Has Carl done much? Sorry, Carl.
Yeah, fair amount.
Yeah, mainly voice actor, I guess.
Voice acting, sketch comedy, that kind of scene.
Oh, fair enough. It was great to see a character like that in it. Again, another not niche reference in this series, but certainly one that shows the love that the creative team have for Star Trek. Because it was handled very well, I think. In the same way, it made me feel similar to the way that the Ferengi in season 1 was dealt with. Because
and I do
Ferengi,
like the idea that they joined the Federation.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
or at least some of them decided to venture out and be part of a federation.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is that, like, you got the feeling that as they communicated through metaphors, that events were incredibly important, and obviously
so
the event of
Thingy and Picard,
it became part of their language, and if that's the case, I mean, it's to become language, that's significant because obviously that's speaking that's how we articulate our minds.
So really about to dive into spoilers here because I realised we didn't really put a spoiler warning at the start of the last episode.
We didn't, but we are recording this a week late for that one, so who cares?
But spoilers now. So a collector wants the Federation's help rooting through a dead collector's collection for anything dangerous. And our lower decks team with their new Boimler replacement, who kind of gets a bit competitive with Mariner, go on a RV away team with the previously said Lieutenant in charge. Lieutenant Jet is the new Boimler replacement.
Yes. Who we pretty much properly meet in the shower.
Yeah. Sonic showers.
The sonic showers, which have always been talked about and very rarely shown.
Yeah. And obviously, I suppose bridge crew and officers will have their own sonic shower in their rooms, but obviously the lower decks who bunk together shower together.
Yeah. And of course it's sonic showers, so they've managed to distort the bodies.
Yeah.
So like they're all completely naked, but you don't see anything. Obviously, it's an adult cartoon, but it's not that kind of adult cartoon. They get into a competitive. That's Mariner and the new lieutenant get into essentially a shower off, where they try and turn the intensity up on the sonic shower. To the point where everyone else has to get out,
and they start getting nosebleeds.
Yeah, and they get nosebleeds. Yeah, because they've turned the intensity up so high.
Yeah.
So you know what the expectation is. Obviously, they've set the expectation up that he's essentially another Mariner.
He's the blending of the two, isn't he? In the fact that he's by the books like Boimler, but he's not Boimlery about it.
No, he's got without dissing the character of Boimler, he's got balls. Like, he's not scared of a fight, but at the same time, if he can avoid
I think Boimler is heroic. It's just Boimler has issues.
I mean, Boimler shows that later on in the episode.
Yeah,
like
Boimler's Boimler.
Because as we said last episode, there isn't necessarily a B story in this one. It's more of a case of two parallel stories.
So we follow the Cerritos crew going through this collection, where unfortunately the lieutenant gets turned into a puppet when the previous owner of the collection security kicks into gear, and it's all about how they have to escape, and the arguing between Lieutenant Jet and Mariner. Is it Lieutenant? No, it's not Lieutenant Jet, is it? Because it's another ensign.
Oh, yeah.
Lieutenant Jet must be one of the members with Boimler.
Yeah. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, I'm not
Only
sure.
watched an hour and a half ago.
I'm not sure which IMDb isn't presenting me. Oh no, Ensign Jet Manhaver. I think it's just potentially listed as Lieutenant Jet accidentally on IMDb.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it might be.
Yeah. And our other story is Boimler in some high octane action on the Titan. It seems like the Titan is a warship. It gets sent to do.
It gets sent to do the bad stuff.
It gets sent to do movie stuff, as we kind of mentioned in. It is Riker the movie all the time.
It is. It's definitely Riker the movie. And they sent off after what species is it? The
Packlid.
The Packlid. Yeah. The
ones
really
who were causing trouble at the end of the last season.
Yeah, and they were introduced in TNG.
And obviously, they may still be a recurring plot throughout this season.
And essentially they're like thieves, but they're very dumb. But
Yeah,
they're
they're
quite
scavengers, but they're happy to scavenge stuff that has things still on it, living on it.
yes, yeah. So they'll take what they want to make themselves stronger, but without ever necessarily learning anything. Like they're warp capable species, but purely by
So
accident.
yeah,
Um,
Boimler and some other Riker's men go undercover as miners. Obviously,
mm,
Riker's guys are all like, "Oh yeah, we're badass Federation operatives," and Boimler's Boimler. And I love a bit in when they're like in the mining uniforms after they've all been rounded up, and he's like, "Don't worry, it'll be okay." Boimler tries to put on his thing. It's like, dude, you're clearly Federation. Your hands have got no calluses on them. Well, you're clearly Starfleet, I think, was actually what was. Because obviously there is a
yes,
distinction
yeah.
between the two.
There is a distinction between the two. Yes, it's obviously Starfleet is sort of the military, like
Yeah. And then being.
depending on what era. Like,
Yeah. And then
so
being gung ho about it leads to
mm,
them getting kind of trapped.
yeah.
The Titan can't teleport them off, and they're better like. The guys were like, "Well, I guess this is it. We're gonna die in the blaze of glory." And Boy was like, "I don't want to die."
We're gonna boldly go, because their
Yeah.
interpretation of boldly going is to die, to literally go.
And Boimler kind of
Well,
reminds them of what Starfleet should be, right? Because
yeah,
they early on in the episode they were mocking the Enterprise D, saying like, "Oh,
mm,
I bet Riker had such a. How did he stay on that ship for so long? It was just dull all the time."
yeah,
Did you know they had daycares and
yeah.
they have recitals, cello recitals, and Boimler like when they're having this conversation on the shuttlecraft down, Boimler's like, Enterprise D, the the flagship. Like, how
Yeah.
could you be mocking
Yeah.
like the flagship ship? And
Like they literally travel to different dimensions. They
yeah,
did this, they
they
did
fought the
that.
Borg,
Like yeah. So,
but because it's
but they had a nursery. Like
yeah, and it comes back where he says, "Oh, but this is why the D is great. Like Micah played the upright bass."
yeah,
And he kind of reminds them that because then they go like, "You're right. I joined Starfleet because I really like Moss."
yeah,
And yeah, and obviously when talking about things Riker did on Enterprise, it's like he remembers the cloning incident and figures out a way to get them off ship.
because there's a similar anomaly,
Yeah.
similar amount of a similar style of interference. So he works with it rather than against
So
it.
he gets Zenfi off, and they just in a nick of time teleport him out. But other him has also gotten a shuttle and is.
Mm.
We actually don't know which one went back, do we?
No, but I mean that was
Yeah,
that
was
was
the
the
point
idea
with Riker as well, wasn't
with
it?
with Will and Tom. Yeah. So now there's two Boimlers, although one of them does seem to have a little bit more grit to him.
Yeah.
And
So
he's
one
definitely,
stays behind on the Titan, and one goes back to the Sweetos.
yeah,
And I love when
And
he
it's-
gets back how obviously they'd made this new friend this episode, and they I love how we spend the whole episode of them getting over their differences. Right?
Yeah.
Of them accepting this new guy into the crew, and then Boimler shows up and it's just like, off you trot.
Because I thought they were setting it up because the obvious plot point for this was that they were just going to swap. That this guy was obviously suited
For the Titan, and then
for the Titan.
I
and
think I
Boimler
prefer
was-
this joke.
Yeah, I
Of
prefer this joke.
of him spending basically a whole episode introducing him,
Yeah,
bring them into the crew, like getting them get over the differences, and then he just has to walk away with a very defined roll of the eyes. It was and obviously Boimler's back now, and we can get on with business as usual.
with business as usual, definitely. So the I think the A story, if there was an A story, was obviously on the collector ship. There were some cool little references in there. I did. Excuse me. I need to look up what the giant skeleton
Yeah,
of a
I wasn't sure
Starfleet.
what. It's
Mm,
it's TOS Star era uniform.
it is, yeah. So there was essentially the villain gets killed in the end by a falling giant
Yeah,
skeleton wearing an original series uniform. But I can't quite remember what that would be, unless it's just a reference to a species. That
maybe.
potentially at some point one of them did
Yeah,
join Starfleet, because there's no saying, obviously, that there wouldn't be giants
yeah, I don't know.
um, on some
Yeah,
planet.
it's something that
That
it's something I saw.
mm,
That is clearly a reference, but it's gone
yeah,
over my head.
it's one that I don't get.
Yeah,
And then there was a various other really
yeah,
cool ones, like Kalesh's sex helmet. So a the essentially the hero of the Klingons, the father of the modern Klingons,
yeah,
and his sex was that brutal that he needed a helmet. Which was actually the thing that got stolen, which triggered the entire
yeah.
plot. So, um,
It was a good episode,
great
and
episode.
I'm
I
liking
think
that
I prefer.
as a replacement, obviously, for the lieutenant who we lost at the end of uh, last season. We're gonna
Mm,
have this new security lieutenant, the Darmok
mm,
guy, as a
yeah.
permanent fixture going forward.
Yes, because they bring him back after he gets turned
Yeah,
into a puppet. Yeah, he'll be a cool. Um,
I like that we're getting regular Helm officers as well. Like the
mm,
Helm officers are characters who have been slightly. They're not arc for guys we're following, but I like that we're starting to
no,
see regular Helm officers and things like that.
which in theory there would be.
Yeah, of course there would be.
Like, yeah, of
We're
course
just
there would
not
be.
following the bridge
Um,
crew. We're following the lower decks crew.
mm, um, but I think this was, as we said in the last episode. I think this was a stronger episode. I
Yeah,
think I possibly prefer this one. However, I think the episode one was the right episode one for
definitely.
season two.
Yeah,
It brings you back in really well. So
and I
I
like
think
saving
like
a boiler resolution for episode 2. I think it just it flows better.
yeah, it didn't need to be the
Yeah,
episode one. You could tease it quite nice, especially as they're only 25-minute episodes. It's not
yeah.
like it needs to be
I think
shoehorned in.
on that note,
Mm.
we shall say once again, live
Live
long and
long and prosper.
prosper.
Mm. And we'll see you this time next week for
Yeah,
episode 3. And at
same.
some point, we're going to talk about the TNG
Yeah,
films as well, because I think it's about time.
same.
Um,
Same star channel, same star time.
yeah, live long and prosper, everyone.